Hello and welcome to the Arizona Wildcats postgame show. I'm Michael Lev with the Arizona Daily Star here with Greg Hansen. We're at TD-ECU Stadium, home of the Houston Cougars, who defeated the Arizona Wildcats in resounding fashion today, 45-18. Greg, what's your kind of biggest overall takeaway from today's ballgame?
That it wasn't an upset. That I think if they played 5 times, Houston would win all 5 games. That's how superior they looked physically to me.
Does that alarm you? Should that
Yes.
alarm Arizona Wildcats fans if you're seeing that much of a talent disparity?
Right, because where would Houston finish in the Pac-12 this year? Ahead of Oregon State and then nobody else?
That's definitely a problem. Now, Arizona was without some of its top players. Jace Whitaker did not play today. Kevin Sumlin indicated after the game that he probably would be able to come back next week. We thought he'd be back today. Scotty Young Jr. apparently had a hamstring injury over the course of training. You know, he missed a lot of time. So he was unable to play, and then during the game they lost Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, they lost Derek Bowles, P.J. Johnson was unable to play, so that's kind of like half your defense, which is a problem. You add that to, you know, the makeshift offensive line, and it kind of does all add up to a talent deficit. And of course, you know, this is a program that doesn't have the depth, right? That maybe Alabama or the top teams in the country, they can maybe withstand these kind of injuries.
The margin for error is so slim that someone just mentioned they're missing Tate Freak for the second straight game, left tackle. That is huge. One guy. I think in Arizona's situation, that one guy made a difference in the first 2 games.
So we heard kind of 2 different stories about Khalil Tate, I'd say, in the postgame locker room. Khalil completely downplayed the ankle injury that he suffered in the first quarter, said it really didn't affect him that much, that there were no discussions of him coming out of the game. Then Kevin Sumlin came in and said, we basically had to change our game plan in a pretty significant way. And we were talking to Khalil in between every series to see how he was. And Khalil kind of indicated to him that he couldn't maybe operate the plays that were in the initial game plan. What did you see and what did you think of those discussions in there?
I followed him in the binoculars every time he came off the field in the first half. There was no lengthy discussion with anyone at any time. He must have just said, bam, 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 this is it. And someone who's so low-key must have just said, okay.
Did you think it affected him on the field?
I didn't see him limp, but obviously it did because he didn't attempt to be Khalil.
Right. There were plays where the pass rush would come in and he would take a couple steps and throw the ball away. Like, he didn't attempt to extend plays, which is one of his trademarks, right? One of the things that he does best. Again, we did not see Khalil Tate running much, if at all. We don't know how much the injury had to do with that exactly, but we just haven't seen the same type of offense that we saw at times last year. Obviously, they're transitioning to a new coaching staff, etc. So, okay, now the Wildcats are 0-2, which no one could have possibly imagined when you looked at the schedule before the season. BYU seemed beatable at home. Houston, you know, winnable game. Maybe they weren't going to be the favorites, but winnable. So, what's the outlook now? I mean, is it doom and gloom? Is there still time to recover here? What do you think?
The one little silver lining, in my opinion, is that they play the 2 worst teams on the schedule coming up. So they got a chance to be 2-2. If they're not 2-2, then it's worst case scenario. But, I mean, the number 3 and 4 beatable teams on their schedule are gone.
Right, which is obviously a problem. There's still a long way to go, but this is the first 0-2 start for Arizona since 1981. Were you even at the Star in 1981 yet, Greg, or where were you?
I covered those first 2 games. First 2 games they ever covered.
Is that right? Wow, okay.
They lost, and as soon as they lost to Cal to go on through that year, they beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame.
No kidding. All right. Well, Greg Hansen was there. He knows what can happen. It all kind of comes full circle. Here we are again with an 0-2 start. Anyway, more football to come. There's still 10 games to play. There's still a chance to kind of turn this thing around. For Greg, I'm Michael. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.